Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Nani Mugera, and welcome to yet another episode of the Plunge Podcast. This is where we have conversations surrounding better mental health, healing, transformation, and living a life full of purpose. And I'm super, super happy and excited that I am finishing my season 2. It has been a roller coaster, but it's also been really, really informative. I've had really cool experiences with a lot of people. And I want to send a couple of shout outs before we start this episode. I want to say thank you to my therapist, Lucy Kimeu, who she came on my podcast and I cried because she was triggering my traumas. And I want to say thank you to Wale Adetula, my mentor, who came all the way from London to Nairobi to record an episode with me. Thank you so much, Wale. I want to say shout outs to my cousin Job Ogendo, who also works at NRG Radio, and he was basically giving us a spotlight of how work and family is important, especially in the entertainment scene. A huge shout out to Polaris Pauline, the amazing musician, and also my colleague in the music space, the music industry. Thank you so much, Pauline, for coming through and helping us understand how Kenyan women are faring on in the music scene. And lastly, to Diallo Gatabaki, who was my last guest in my last episode, all about leadership, which for some crazy reason, that leadership episode went almost viral on LinkedIn because everyone was like, wow, we didn't even know that we need and we require good leadership. And leadership isn't just about someone being a manager. It's about them showing up as the best version of themselves so that you as the employee can show up as the best version of themselves, right? So thank you so much for everybody who made my season 2 crazy and everyone who was like, I started therapy because of you. Thank you so, so much. I didn't even know I would make an impact when I started doing this thing, but I'm kind of doing something right. So thank you, everyone who has been impacted in some way or the other positively through the Plunge podcast. I love that we are plunging into self-development and healing. Also, have you subscribed on YouTube? I'm seeing our subscription number is rising up, but please, if you're watching this, subscribe, because the more that you subscribe, the more I'm able to bring in really cool guests and the more I'm able to articulate better conversations around healing and mental health and the whole shebang. And I want you guys to be better versions of yourselves. All right. So today we are ending season 2 with something that I feel like the universe told me this. Actually, the universe asked me this question the other day, and I've been marinating on this question. And I still now, even as I'm recording this, I'm not sure how to answer it. So I'm hoping that we can do it together, whoever who's listening and watching this episode. All right. So the universe told me that, and it's also telling you, if you're listening to this, if you come across this, your lack of self-trust is holding you back. Now, recently, I started reading this book by Sarah Jakes Roberts. I don't know if you guys know her. She's the popular daughter of T.D. Jakes and an amazing, phenomenal woman and preacher. And she has a book called Power Moves, right? And in Power Moves, she talks about the importance of marinating before activating. And I'm going to break it down. So most of the time, when we go through something, either traumatic or hurtful, or life isn't going the way we need it to go, we act fast, like we're trying to avoid the situation fast, before sitting down and asking yourself, wait a minute, what exactly is happening here? How can I process whatever this emotion is trying to tell me, or this situation is trying to tell me? Of late, I've talked a lot about how I've been able to let go of so many people in my past life. And of late, I feel like they've low-key been coming in and trickling in one by one, coming into my sphere. And I was just like, why are these people coming back into my life all of a sudden when I'm calm and I'm peaceful? Have you ever noticed, one second it's sunny, and then the next rain just comes out of nowhere. And then instead of taking the time and pausing and asking yourself, why is there rain all of a sudden? Why didn't I see this coming? What do we tend to do? We tend to start running helter skelter and figuring out how we can shelter ourselves. So for me, I started wondering, like, why are these people coming back? Started panicking. What am I doing wrong? And I was like, wait a minute, Donnie. Like, you can sit by yourself and ask yourself, what exactly is this teaching me, right? Like, what exactly these people coming back into my life? Like, what are they trying to tell me? Do I still have some shreds of me that attracted these people that I still haven't healed? Yeah. So that's the difference between processing fast and then acting, as opposed to just acting and then, you know, like just acting without processing or marinating exactly what it is that you're going through, or whatever, your issue is that you're struggling with. So I have a couple questions that I'm going to go through this episode with you guys. In your lack of self-trust is holding you back. And these questions are actually going to be a deck that I'm working on. So these questions are coming from a deck that I'm working on something really, really cool that is going to help other people, or rather you guys and other people, connect more and have deeper conversations and become better versions of who you are. So question number one. First of all, this episode is dedicated to anyone who wonders if they are enough, if you're worthy, if you feel like you deserve whatever it is that you have, or if you feel like you're deserving, or if you feel like you're unworthy. And then if you also feel like, was I really made for this? Like, is success for other people and not for me? That's really a sense of self trust, like lack of self trust. So we're gonna build on your self trust, and we're gonna build on who you are as an individual. So let's get into it. All right, here are a couple of questions you're gonna have. You're gonna have to ask yourself. Question number one: at what point do you feel like you deserve the things, people, and experiences that you desire? So, like, do you feel like you deserve the things that you desire? Sometimes I feel like I don't. Sometimes I feel like I desire a Range Rover Sport and it's not coming. And I'm seeing God delivering everyone a Range Rover Sport, and I'm just like, where's my car? Sometimes you desire happiness. Sometimes you just desire peace. The other day I let go of something that was financially like gonna help me, but I was just like, this is bringing more drama and stress into my life than peace. So I let it go. And I was like, you know what? I'm creating space for something better to come. And so I felt like in this instance, I desired peace, and the peace overcame the need for me accessing this amount of money, right? It wasn't like even like it was a lot or anything, but it would have helped a long way through. But then I was just like, I'm getting into my way, I'm getting into my head because of this, and I'm gonna create space so that more money can come into my life because I desire peace. And so if I create space for peace, then surely it should be able to come through, because you can't expect something to come and you're not creating the space for it. So I chose to create space for it in this instance, right? And then another question you can ask yourself is, how do I know if I'm equipped to bring purpose into the world to other people? A lot of times people talk about goals, like have goals. What are your goals? Reach your goals. What about people who are like, I don't have goals. So like, am I lost? Like, am I just a flower or like a leaf just in the air, wandering about, going, wherever the wind will blow me? I think that our goals, or rather our purpose in life, is internally tied to who we are. And for us to know who we are, we need to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves the questions that we do not want to answer. And here's a good way of knowing. Sometimes I ask myself, what's the truth that I'm right now not willing to accept or listen to, or I'm unwilling to even hear? What's that truth? And immediately the answer comes to me. Immediately. Immediately it comes to me. You're not trusting yourself. That's it. Like, it's really that simple. So then when you answer yourself and you're like, all right, cool. I don't trust myself. So like, how do I get that trust back? Right? How do I get it back? And for a lot of people, there's so many different tools and skills that you can get. For me, number one, I always say I'm a God girl. So obviously, I go to my spiritual leaders who will help me figure out what it is that I need to do. And then also, I meditate. I'm a huge meditator. I do a lot of breath work. I feel like breath work really helps me like calm myself down and bring myself to the present and not marinate on what's happening in the past or what's going to happen in the future, right? And then sometimes talking it out with someone can really, really help as well. And also journaling. Journaling has really been like one of the things that has literally helped my life so much in just penning down the thoughts and feelings that I'm having and helping me realize like this is actually how I've been feeling, you know? And putting exposing the thoughts and the feelings that I'm having on paper and looking at them and being like, dang, I'm actually quite sad, or dang, I'm actually really depressed, or like, I'm actually okay, you know? So like journaling has really, really been a huge, huge part of my healing. And then sometimes you're gonna have self-awareness that's gonna tell you, you know what, maybe I need therapy. Maybe I need therapy. And therapy is really important because it helps you understand how your brain works. Therapy isn't, you know, it's different from when you're listening to, like, for instance, this episode or this podcast. When you're listening to me say talking about therapy, you'll be like, yeah, it makes sense. But like what therapy does, it's like it's personalized to who you are and your lived experience on this earth. Yeah. So you're also make sure you're getting a good therapist. Yeah. Because not all therapists, you're not gonna gel or bond with any therapist. Like it's like dating. So when you get a therapist who works really, really well with you, then that person is gonna work for you and make sure that you know you're healing and you're getting better and you're also understanding the kind of person you are, you know, and not the kind of person who you think you are or people think you are, society or your family, your friends, your parents. Because sometimes like we can really get lost in everything and everyone and like today, for instance, I was watching this podcast in the morning before I came here, and how millennials are struggling with hustle culture. I'm a millennial. And then Gen Z are struggling with soft life culture, right? So millennials are hustling so hard that it's actually hard for them to relax. Like it's like I need to deserve to rest. Like rest shouldn't be something that is part and parcel of my self-care routine. On the other hand, Gen Z are like really intrigued with soft life, so much so that they don't feel like they need to hustle. Like life should just be, I should just wake up and like someone should hand me a martini by the beach and I should just be flying and jetting all across the world and just living the best life ever. And when you really think about it, both spectrums are very unhealthy. At some point, you're gonna have to relax, which is soft life. And at some point, you're gonna have to work towards something, towards a goal, which is the hustle culture. So I think then if we're able to get to a place that you can have like a balance between the two spectrums, then you'll be really like a healthy person. And I think that we need to have more conversations about this as a society, as a culture, and allow people to understand that work is good and play is equally good. Like you shouldn't have to have one without the other, right? So I think that's a way that, you know, kind of also helps me understand who I am and like where I stand, as opposed to just being thrown into this spectrum and that spectrum, you know, and you're just like, where do I fit in? Like there's just so much happening in the world. Like people are just like, where do I fit in? You know? And that's why you need that stillness inside you. So you go into who you are and ask yourself these very, very deep questions. What's the truth? What's your truth? And how do you fit in all of this, you know? All right, cool. So then the other question that I would really want to ask you guys, and this is something that I also marinate on. These are just questions that I want you guys to marinate on before you start acting again into when you go to work or when you're with friends and whoever. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And what are you surrounding yourself with? Here's the thing, or here's the gag. The people that you surround yourself with impact you so highly and so much. You have no idea how the people who you surround yourself with impact who you are. I'm just gonna let that settle for a second. Just for a second. Because for a very long time, I used to hang around people who used to make me feel like I was such a bad person. So for a very long time, I used to think I'm such a bad person. I used to think I'm a really, really mean person. And granted, maybe I did say some mean things and some bad things, but like we're human. But I always felt like I was such a villain for a very long time until I removed myself from certain circles of people. And I'm not saying these people are bad, they were just not good for me as an individual. Yeah. And so I consciously removed myself from these people because I always felt like every single time I hung around certain people, person X, person Y, I'm just always sad. I'm angry. I'm irritated. Like I'm even getting a little triggered right now just talking about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna step aside. I'm gonna step back. And then I'm gonna see who I'm going to become without these people. I'll find my voice and I'm going to find my identity without these people influencing my voice and my identity and how I show up, right? And now that I have a whole new crew of people, guys, yes to new friends, yes to new circles. Please, Drake didn't know whatever. He did not know what he was saying. Yes to new friends and yes to new circles and yes to new hobbies. Because right now, the people who I surround myself with, I tell them, guys, do you know there's people in this world who think I'm such a mean person? They laugh. They literally laugh. They're like, you're always smiling. You're always so happy. Like right now, someone's like, oh my God, you're always so smiling. You're always so happy. And these people who I used to hang out with, I promise you, even right now, if someone was to give them a call, I'll be like, that girl is the meanest girl on this world. But it was just like, sometimes people will just project. People will project whatever it is that they're going through on you. And if you don't have strong standing and you don't have strong boundaries, you're going to let that dirt in. You're going to let that toxicity in and it's going to marinate inside you and you're going to feel like that's the kind of person that you are. And even now, the people who have seen me do the transition from crew X to crew Y, there's obviously people who've been constant, like my family and people who are really, really close to me. And they're like, you know what? I really feel like those people really used to take a lot of energy from you. And nowadays, like, you've blossomed. You're like a whole new individual. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually really true. And it's because I just stopped fraternizing with people who are not for me, people who don't want good for me. I only hang around people who make me feel good because those are the kind of people who will help you, elevate you, and take you to where you want to go and who you really want to be. And they will reflect back who you are, right? And they're going to celebrate your wins. And you won't be wondering, hey, this world is so tough. This world is so hard. No one really cares. It's because you're surrounding yourself with people who are putting you down, who are jealous, who are projecting their issues on you. Like we don't have time for that toxicity anymore, guys. Like we're leveling up, we're elevating, like we're becoming that people, like that person. Sorry, we're becoming that person. We're becoming that it girl. We're becoming that it guy. We're going to succeed in our careers, in our family lives, in our bodies. We're going to become those people, right? And so we're elevating and we're letting go of anything and anyone who is hindering us and who doesn't serve us anymore, right? Right. I cool. This is another one. This is something I've been struggling with. Another question you can ask yourself is, am I emotionally frozen? right? So there's a way that we protect ourselves, our bodies protect us through fight or flight. But like there's also freeze. Freeze is where you just feel numb and you're just like, I don't want to do anything else. And I'm just numb. I'm just there. I feel meh. I feel nothing. And that usually happens when you have overwhelm. I think for me, I had a lot of career overwhelm, a lot. And I took a whole year sabbatical to just relax, to just let my mind relax, my nerves relax, my emotions, my body. Like I was even getting sick. In fact, the other day I was arranging my house and I found a whole bunch of medicine. At some point I even thought I'm asthmatic because I was like, my body was just trying so hard to function in these careers that were so toxic, in these workplaces that were so toxic, that were taking so much from me, that I needed a whole year, guys, to just calm my body and come back to my sanity. And that's the whole epitome of mental health, to allow yourself to just rest. Because if you don't allow yourself to rest, if you don't allow your anger to come up, to bubble up, or your sadness or whatever, eventually you suppress it so much that it'll still show up, but in another way. You probably start drinking more, start smoking more, start using more drugs, start having more partners, getting sick like I was, Uber eating all the time like I used to, you know. Um, at some point, I think I was telling someone I couldn't even fry an egg. I didn't have the capacity. Like even normal day-to-day activities, like even brushing my teeth was like, oh my God. But I had to do it because I mean, you have to brush your teeth. But like normal day-to-day activities felt like someone was weighing this huge rock on me. And it's because I was so overwhelmed by the world and everyone in it. And I wasn't allowing myself grace. I wasn't giving myself, I was so hard on myself. Like, even my therapist used to tell me all the time, I think, Noni, you're so hard on yourself. Because sometimes you can also have like this perfectionist mentality. Like I need to be perfect. I need to get A grades. I need to have the best job ever. And that's how I used to be. I used to work in like the top organizations with the top of the top and the best of the best. And I was like, you know what? Maybe just working in just a normal organization will make me feel happier than working in like a conglomerate where I'm dying. And the money, this money that I'm working so hard for, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'm out. So technically I'm not even saving anything, you know? So I've just learned the art of giving yourself grace and being humble enough to tell yourself that I need grace and I need space from all of this toxicity, and my body needs to heal. My emotions need to heal. Heck, my hair needs to heal. Like everything just needs to heal. So like allow yourself, give yourself that grace, give yourself that space to heal. And it's really important. It could actually be the thing that saves you, you know? And so for me, I took a whole year off. I had to change my lifestyle. I had to change even where I used to live. I had to change the places I used to go to. But it was like it's just kuteseka nikamuda too. Like it was just for a little while, but for a lot of gain, because now I feel like oof, I'm like I feel like there's a spirit. Like I don't know if the Holy Spirit is here. I feel like I'm preaching to someone. So whoever this is for, like I want you to know like you can do it, and like, you know, it can happen. And then the last question that I want you guys to marinate is, do you let your trauma set standards for what to expect in life? Like, do you let your trauma set the standard for what you should expect in life? Today, I did a really deep meditation, and the meditation essentially was saying, what's your trauma saying? Why can't you get to the level that you want to go to? And so some of the reasons that I gave is I don't have the financial backing that I require. I don't have the self-trust that I need to have, the self-belief that I really want to have. I don't have the resources that I need. So that, but like that's surface level. As I've always said, this is symptoms. So what's the disease? So technically, every single person on earth, we all deal with pain and pleasure. We are trying to suppress our pain and we are trying to increase our pleasure. Our pleasure. All right, cool. So what happens is we're trying so hard to experience joy, right? But then we have so much pain inside us that we feel like we don't have the capacity for this joy. So now what the meditation was about was, if this is pain on this hand and this is joy and happiness and pleasure on this other hand, how can you merge the two to create like something seamless? I think another way to explain this is if you have the color red in your hand, right? And you have the color green in your hand, right? And you mix these two colors together to create a whole new color. Why can't you do the same for that? Essentially, we're shifting energies. If you're always so sad, but you want joy to come, but you're giving sadness 80% of your capacity and you're only giving joy 20%, then how can we find a way to balance these emotions so that the joy comes up to 50 and the sadness goes down to 50, so that now you're balancing, so that, because also life will always be hard. It's a fact. But we need to have life skills that will allow us to balance these things. Because, like, it's just the same way, like, if you're cooking chicken, right? I mean, if you're black, if you're cooking chicken and you just want it bland, it'll be like, you know. Like, if you put some spice in it, some marinade, we're marinating, remember? Some marinade is going to be the best dish ever. So, like, I would like for you guys to add some spice to your sadness. Yeah. Like, for instance, for me, when I feel like my thoughts are just too much in my head, I just go to the balcony and I just let the sun hit me for like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And by the time I'm coming back to my house, I feel so much better. And I'm like, next time, maybe I can take a walk. Next time, maybe I'll come to SemaBOX and record a podcast, you know, next time. And then, so like, when you start increasing and like leveling and balancing your emotional capacity, then you start healing your traumas. And then also expose yourself to people who are doing what you're doing, but on such a grand level that you're like, wait a minute, if that person can do XYZ, why can't I do it? Yeah. Like, I started my podcast because I used to follow this guy called Stephen Bartlett on Instagram, and he always used to post such phenomenal quotes like, "Oh, you can do it, believe in yourself, da 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 da." And I just used to like them. And then he started a podcast, and I was like, this guy actually started a podcast, because I used to like his posts. And then his podcast becomes Diary of a CEO. Like, everyone, one of the top podcasts on YouTube and Patreon and Spotify, right? And then Steve now has a book, right? Steve Bartlett has a book, Diary of a CEO, amazing book. I'm currently also reading it as well. And so he actually essentially made me start my podcast on this whole self-development and becoming a better person and the whole shebang. And right now I'm working on a book and I'm working on a deck, you know, and it's because I'm just like, and this guy is like 31, you know. So I'm like, we're literally the same age, but like he's on another whole level and spectrum that I possibly, well, right now I'm not, but like, you never know, like, you just never know, especially in this day and age of the internet, you just never know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I was to use my traumas or what people said about me, and use that as a standard of where I can go and what I can do, we would not be here. We would not be here at all. I would have just been in my house looking at other people living their best lives and thinking, wow, it must be nice, you know? But I was like, nah, I'm not gonna let my trauma set a stage for things that I want to do in life. I'm gonna let who I am and the little trust that I have and the little faith that I have in myself lead the way. And if someone else is doing it on a grand scale, then all I need to do is just do some research, figure out how they did it. And then on my scale, on the scale that I have, because you're also being realistic, what can I do to get to there and to grow to there, right? All right, cool. So now we're at the end of the episode. And I want you guys to ask yourselves, what are you going through and what are you growing through? So for me, I wrote, and I will read verbatim. I said, I'm going through understanding how to navigate my next. I'm not sure what my next is. So I'm going through understanding how to navigate my next. And I'm growing through embracing the reality that I am authentic and lovable and that I can give myself enough grace to do the things that I need to do. And also, when I fail, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. Ooh, I just remembered something, and this is really, really deep and profound. We struggle a lot with shame and guilt. Guilt says, I made a mistake or I failed, right? Shame says, I am a mistake and I am a failure. And those are two different things that I would really, really like whoever who's watching this and listening to this to marinate on, because this is something that I also really struggled with for a very long time, where I used to have people telling me, "You're mean," you know, and I marinated that, and I think that exposed itself as shame. So you can do a mean thing, guilt. But when you start telling yourself you're a mean person, that's shame. That now that digs into your identity, into who you are as a person. So it's like calling yourself Noni mean girl, you know, or Noni the failure, or Noni the mistake. Yeah. So I just want us to also give ourselves a lot of grace. Healing is not sexy, but it's very important, and it's going to make you become an even better person to yourself, to the people around you, to your family, your friends, your workmates, and whoever it is that you meet in the streets. You know, nowadays I smile at random people. I smile at strangers. I think it's important to give good energy, and you just never know. You could make someone's day all week and the whole shebang. So I hope that this season has helped someone somewhere. Thank you so much for everyone who has tuned in, watched, shared. Everyone who's told me, oh my God, you're doing amazing. Even though sometimes I really felt like, I'm struggling. Huge shout outs to the SemaBOX crew. As usual, Dana Seda, founder, who has held my hand through it all. And my producer, Siwaka, for also being there for me since episode 1. And now we're literally on season 2 and we've finished season 2. And season 3 is going to be amazing. I have a lot of cooking. But I'll give you a sneak peek. We're going to be talking about relationships. So that's really a good one for me. And I'm going to be exposing everything. I really can't wait. And even as we go season after season after season, we're going to go deeper. We're going to go into the layers. We're going to anchor ourselves in self-trust and self-love and self-care. And if you're thinking about therapy, please feel free to drop into my DM on Instagram at the Plunge Podcast, or send us an email, the Plunge Podcast ke@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll help you out. We'll definitely help you out and become a better version of you. My name is Noni Mugera, signing out, and love and peace. Make sure to be safe and toodles.